this week's I Want to Know, which is all about websites that you can use to research information, history on a location that you could be looking at investigating, whether it's public and or private. Now, I'll just briefly give a caveat here that I do have a beautiful little elderly cat, and occasionally she just kind of randomly meows for no reason. So I don't have a dead spectral cat, it's a live one, and she may occasionally just meow every now and then. So just giving a forewarning on that one, and it's a yowl too, because they get to a certain age and they just don't care anymore. So that's one thing to keep in mind. But of course, okay, so websites, these are really, really good if you are the type of investigator that likes to look at the way in which things happen on a location. So if there is a type of activity someone might be experiencing, sometimes knowing the history of a location can actually help explain it. So if there's lots of footsteps and there's lots of little footsteps, you can look at the history and go, oh, actually, you know what, this building used to be a place where they had a lot of children in it. So that could help explain why that was happening. So that's generally the reason why a lot of investigators will use history as a way. Hi, Karina. Hi. Oh, hey, Glenn. How good. Oh, good to see you here too. Awesome. That's great. So that's the main reason why. So here's a couple of different types of websites as well that to look out for. Probably some of them you may already know, some of them you may not know of. But you know what? By all means, as I said, use the comment section as down below and post your favorite websites that you use to help find information, historical information as well. We'll look at Australia first, of course, and then we'll look at a couple in the US, a couple in the UK, and also I managed to find one in for our New Zealand buddies too. Another reason why, of course, Access Paranormal is international, but another bigger reason is the fact that sometimes you might come across information that could actually take you to another country. So it's sometimes really interesting to know what other websites there is out there that can actually help you figure out, you know, what else is going on and what's happened prior to somebody arriving somewhere like Australia or somewhere else like the UK too. Hi, Vicky, sweetheart. Hey, Mick. Hey, Jackie. Good to see you here. All the way from the UK. Well, you won't be disappointed. There's a few websites I've got up my sleeve for you too. So we'll start getting into it. Australia. Now, this website, a lot of investigators do know. If you're just starting out, then you're going to love this. It's going to be a staple website. A lot of people mention it when it comes to research and all that sort of stuff straight away. It is Trove. It's called Trove. It's based on the wording of treasure trove. Trove.nla.gov.au, which I think is National Library Association. I might be wrong. Really, really, really good website. It's probably one of the best websites out there. And I mean that with all other countries as well. There's a couple that come close, but the way in which they've got this set up is really easy to search. And it's not just news articles you can search for. You can search for books, magazines, letters, videos, articles, journals, all sorts of different stuff. Maps, I think, is up there as well. So it's actually a really, really good website. And the way in which they've done that is with the articles they've scanned in. They have a type of software that picks up the words in there and actually puts it into typing words. So you've actually got metadata that you can actually search on the articles themselves. Some of it can seem a little bit like Chinglish. Sometimes it does get it wrong, but the search function is really, really good. And I know a lot of people use it. And as I said, because it's got a vast array of different types of media for you to be able to search on is really, really good too. Hi, Tina. Hey, Josh. Good to see you guys. Hey, Kat. So that's the first one. So there have been some that are similar in different other countries, but I've not actually found the search function, the simplicity of Trove the same way. So that's the first one in Oz. Another one in Oz I would recommend would be the New South Wales State Records. Now, those who know me will know that I've mentioned this particular website as well. It is a search function for information. I'm very lucky because it's in Western Sydney, so here I am. And so I'm actually able to go to the centre once I've searched for it. And that's the biggest thing here. It's the biggest time saver. It's like with a library search engine. You can actually look for the information that you want. You can get the reference numbers, and then you can actually go to the location and go, I want blah, 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 blah. Especially if you're travelling a fair distance and you're not directly in Sydney, if you're just out of Sydney, particularly if you're interstate and you happen to be around at the same time. Really, really, really handy way to be able to find and research information. You can gradually do it over time, get your information information together, go there and ask them to find it for you, or you can find it yourself. Another thing I really like about this place or this center is that although you do have to pay for photocopies of the particular information you want, if you have a USB drive, you can actually have it for free. So as long as you can actually download it straight away, and you can keep a copy forever. And I mean, with stuff like our iClouds and all sort of thing, like you've got something permanently stored there, regardless of what happens or where you move to, or what goes on. So, and that's completely free. They will allow you to take as many copies or as much information that's scanned in with you on a USB stick. So that's been a huge thing, especially with investigating. We're not all really rolling in cash to be able to do this sometimes. So if it saves cash to get you there, it's a winner. So highly recommended. New South Wales State Records. I don't know if there is a state records in other parts of Australia. But also at the same time, maybe there could be other similar situations or organisations in other parts of the world as well. So if you're in another part of the world, by all means, maybe see if there's a centre like that. I would think it could be a historical society, which we'll touch on a bit later. But yeah, go and check it out. Really, really handy. And I just love the way it's set up. They're really, really friendly as well. I think so. Yeah, so there's that too. There's that one. Also, there's the Federation of Historical Societies, which is a website for Australia. So it's Australian Federation of Historical Societies. I think that's history.org.au from memory. That is got a little bit of information, but the place you want to go to the most is the links section. So the links section's got a list of all the different types of historical societies around Australia. And that's always really handy, because then you can just go straight to there and go, oh, look, there's one near where I live, or there's one near where a friend lives. And you can actually go and find out a bit more about them and what they've got going on and what information they may have about that particular area. So that kind of saves you having to go, oh, is there a historical society where I live? Just go straight to that website and it's there. They're ones that are listed and actually full-on historical societies, like actually established historical societies. So that's for Australia. There's a couple there. Again, guys, if you've got stuff that you use that I haven't mentioned, by all means, use the comment section and put your links down there as well. Now we'll go to our mates in the US. We can't leave those guys behind. The first one I would say would be the National Archives, is probably the best, I would say, which I think is archives.gov, I think. Don't quote me on that. You've got military records in that one. You've also got ancestry records as well. Even if there's a specific location, you can actually look at the specific history of that particular location. USA is a big place, so you want to be able to hone down your research in that regard. So that could also help as well. So keep that one in mind. There's also findarticles.com is another one for our USA buddies. That's kind of like a Google search for articles specifically, but it will list the source in which they're from. So it'll have what looks like normal Google, sort of like on this side, and then listed on this side, it'll have what websites it's got it from. So you can actually see really in a snapshot where you're getting your information from, which, as we know as investigators, is really, really important. The last one I would mention is newspaperarchive.com. Again, it's fairly similar to Trove, but this kind of centers more so on the obituaries and death records. So that again is really interesting for investigators to find out if someone's died on a property, or how long and what they died of, and all that kind of stuff, which can help explain a possibility of a haunting as well. And then, of course, we've got our UK buddies, not leaving you guys behind in any way. We've got the British History Online, which I think the website is britishhistory.ac.uk. That's for the really, really old history. So you're looking like 1300s to 1700s. And I know by saying that, some of us who live in places like Australia or in the USA, it's like, oh, it'd be great to have that written history for us to be able to look through. But yeah, thankfully you have websites that you can have to help you figure that out. And if you are researching a location that you need to go to this website because of those time frames, I sit here very jealous. So that's very much so. But yeah, so that's a good website for the really, really older style of older history of information. Very similar setup as well. Lots of articles, lots of journals that you can actually have a look at through that as well. There's also the British Newspaper Archive, which is it's probably from about the 1700s onwards generally, so it's quite a lot newer. And again, it's all the type of news articles around that time, and it's got a fairly good search function there. Not quite as good as Trove, but it's still pretty good, I must admit. Hey Tabio. So there's that as well. Also for the UK, there's the UK Press Online. Really comprehensive. It's got everything, so it's not just newspapers. You're looking at magazines, and I can imagine, obviously, with the UK being around a lot longer for written historical information, there is a ton of different stuff that you can actually get from this website. The only sort of downer that I can think of when it comes to accessing this information is that you do have to pay a monthly subscription for it. I think the basic is like £10, which I think ends up being something like 16 Australian dollars a month. It's not a lot, but sometimes you think, well, if I'm going to be using it a lot, I want to be able to get as much as I can from it as well. So if you're really hardcore into it, it looks like an amazing website. There is so much information on there, but if you're wanting to pay for that subscription, there is that option there as well. Now, of course, I didn't want to leave our New Zealand buddies out as well. There was one website I've come across, and I think there may even be a UK version of this, and it's called Papers Past. And again, it's the closest thing I found to Trove, like I mentioned before, where you've just got all this different fabulous information that you can actually metadata search for as well, which saves a heap of time and work. But I think there may be a UK version. I'm not 100% sure on that. So that's another one. I think the website for that is paperspast. Actually, no, don't quote me on that. Just type in Papers Past NZ into Google and you'll find it. So there are some really cool websites there for you guys to check out. Again, like I mentioned, use the comment section below to actually mention some of the ones that I may not have mentioned here. And yeah, let's get sharing. Let's see what other websites are great to help find some information on a location. And that's the thing, it's finding stuff that's specific to a local area that can be really the hardest thing, because there can be a lot of information about a suburb or a town, but if you want to be really specific, it can sometimes be a bit difficult. So again, finding those kinds of websites are literally a treasure trove of gold. So by all means, use the comment section and let me know what you think. Until the next exciting episode, thank you for watching.